It was a Wednesday night in early December, cold, the kind that didn't ask permission before crawling under your collar. I remember the parking lot lights blinking like warning signals, rows of salt-streaked minivans lining the curb outside the high school auditorium. A quiet suburb outside Toledo. Nothing special. Just another place where people pretend they're happy. I got there early. Always do. Fourth row center, just right of the aisle so Amanda could stretch her legs, though she never thanked me for that. I brought a seat cushion, soft foam from my old truck, because those folding chairs could K*L your back after 20 minutes. And I brought a bouquet. White lilies. Layla's favorite, or at least they used to be. She mentioned them once after a recital in 7th grade. No one remembered that moment but me. The school had strung tinsel across the rafters. Red and green construction paper wreaths on the walls. That kind of forced festivity only a PDA can pull off, cheap, cheerful, hollow. The air smelled like gym socks and peppermint. Amanda arrived 10 minutes before curtain. She always came late to Layla's things, but somehow I was the one who got blamed when we didn't get good seats. This time I saved them 3 in a row. She breezed in wearing boots that cost more than I made in a week back then. Hair freshly done. Eyes sharp but tired, like she'd been fighting all day and no one knew it. She slid into the seat beside me with that rehearsed smile and leaned close enough to kiss my cheek but didn't. "You're sweet," she murmured. "Saving these." Her voice was low, like she didn't want anyone to hear her being kind to me. I nodded. Didn't mention the flowers in the seat beside me. Didn't ask about the third chair she hadn't noticed I saved. When the lights dimmed, she turned her phone off without looking at me. I always watched her face at these things, not Layla's, not the stage. Amanda had this expression when she watched her daughter perform. Like everything else in her life went quiet. No bills. No fights. No ghost of the man who left her when Layla was still learning to spell his name. Just Layla shining. And Layla did shine. She came out third, stage center, hair pinned just like her mom's in the old photos she never showed anyone. Glittery dress. Confident. Sharp. Nothing like the girl who hadn't looked me in the eye for the last 3 days. Her voice rang out. Not the loudest, but clear. Controlled. She was good. Better than the kids around her. I clapped harder than most parents. When the curtain fell, the crowd erupted. Phones **T up. Balloons bobbed. Fathers with camera rigs worth thousands pushed forward, calling names. Mothers yelled, "Baby!" like their kids had just come home from war. I stood slowly, still holding the lilies. Amanda didn't move. Her fingers tapped at her coat buttons, nervous, distracted. "You going to wait by the side?" I asked quietly. She didn't answer, just kept watching the stage. Layla emerged from the wings, talking to 2 girls. Hugged one, took a selfie with the other. Then her eyes swept across the crowd, and for half a second I thought, maybe she'd see me, remember the man who drove her to rehearsals in February snow, who sat in the pickup reading scripts with her by flashlight. But she didn't. She walked right past me, straight down the steps, out the side aisle, past rows of parents cheering, past the 3 seats I saved, past me. No pause, no glance, like I wasn't even there. I opened my mouth to say something. I don't know what. Maybe nothing. Maybe her name. Amanda leaned in, her voice soft but deliberate. "Don't get involved." And that was it. Not "give her a minute." Not "I'll talk to her." Not "she didn't mean it." Just "don't get involved." I stood there, still holding the flowers. The ones I'd bought at the market that morning before work. $10, wrapped in newspaper. I thought they'd make her smile. I turned without a word. Walked past the families with cupcakes and glitter signs. Past the teacher shaking hands like a politician. Past a girl in tears because her solo had gone wrong and her dad was hugging her like the world hadn't noticed. Past all of that. Out the side door. Into the wind. The air hit hard, wet and metallic. Parking lot lights buzzing overhead. My boots scraped against salt on the pavement. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. There was no scene. Just distance. Like I'd stepped through an invisible wall and couldn't get back in. I climbed into the truck. Turned the key. Heater clicked on slow. My breath clouded the windshield. I sat there with the bouquet still on my lap. It didn't look like much in the dark. Just crushed petals and hope. That's when I pulled out my phone. Opened the banking app. I didn't even think. My fingers moved like they already knew what needed to be done. I stared at the list of outgoing payments. All the things Layla used, needed, demanded. Tuition, car insurance, gym membership, streaming platforms, her music app, the one she used for rehearsals, Wi-Fi, all of it. Each one tied to me. Not Amanda. Me. Not a word of thanks. Not a glance. Not even acknowledgement that I existed outside of utility. My thumb hovered over the first toggle. I thought about the time I stayed up 3 nights building her science fair volcano because she forgot the deadline. I thought about the winter I drove 60 miles through black ice to bring her the flute she left at home before a competition. I thought about the night she cried because her father missed her 13th birthday again, and I told her, "He's still your dad. He loves you." I was wrong. I hit the switch. One by one, the lights went out. Every auto payment, every service, every plan, gone. Took less than 60 seconds. Before that moment, I was still trying. Still hoping for something back. Not love, maybe not even respect, just recognition. I was the man who filled in the gaps. The man who showed up. After that moment, I was something else. Gone. Quietly. Like a light turning off in an empty room. I didn't drive home after the performance. Not right away. Instead, I parked behind the old gas station across from the school. The one with a flickering open sign that buzzed even when it was off. I sat there in the dark cab of my truck, engine running low, heater breathing shallow warmth. The bouquet of white lilies still beside me on the passenger seat like a joke no one laughed at. The applause was probably still echoing inside the auditorium. Layla was probably posing for pictures with Amanda, or maybe friends. Maybe they were already making plans for frozen yogurt or some post-show dinner I hadn't been invited to. It didn't matter. That part of the night was gone. Not just closed, but erased. I stared at my phone. The banking app was still open. It felt like a wee *p*n now, or a confession. A list of monthly payments, digital threads all connected to the same thing. Me. Every subscription, every tuition invoice, every bill. All those lines blurred together until they told a story. A man who paid to be tolerated. And I was done. 1 minute later, her phone buzzed. It would have lit up in her hand, or her coat pocket, or maybe she'd left it in Amanda's purse again. The same purse I bought last Christmas when she said the old one made her feel cheap. Notifications would have stacked like falling bricks. Payment failed. Card declined. Service canceled. Authorization revoked. One after another. That was it. No messages. No warning. I didn't explain myself. Just silence. I watched the world outside through the fogged-up windshield. 2 parents carrying balloons. A kid crying because her flowers got crushed. A group of girls squealing over something on TikTok. Normal things. Nothing like the quiet nuclear reaction I just triggered in the space of 60 seconds. Before that, I was the source, the undercurrent, the man in the walls who made life warm, paid for the light, kept the water running. After that, I was air. Nothing. And nothing owes anyone anything. 2 hours passed before Amanda texted. Seriously? Over one night? That was the first message. No greeting. No pretense. Just disbelief disguised as scolding. I didn't answer. Another message came. She was just tired. And then, "You could have talked to me." But I had talked. Every night I spoke in my silence. Every time I drove her somewhere. Every time I paid for something without being asked. Every time I picked up a plate she left behind, or swallowed a sigh instead of an argument. That was me talking. But Amanda's version of talking was different. It meant me backing down. Shrinking. Putting the family first, even when I wasn't really part of it. Her last message that night was just 3 words. "This isn't fair." I stared at it like it was a punchline. Fair? Fair is showing up for someone else's child and being treated like a stain on the furniture. Fair is watching your name appear only on the bills and never on the fridge. Fair is being invisible until something breaks, then being blamed for not fixing it fast enough. Fair had left the house years ago. I didn't text back, didn't call, didn't explain. I let the quiet do what words couldn't. At home, the lights were off when I pulled into the driveway. Amanda's car was parked at an angle. Layla's was missing, probably out with friends, burning through gas I'd paid for. Not that it mattered anymore. That tank would be her last on me. I didn't go inside. Instead, I pulled out my laptop and tethered it to the truck's Wi-Fi. Opened every financial account, credit cards, Autopay portals, tuition sites. I started closing things, one by one, precise, surgical. Layla's gym membership? Gone. Music streaming? Cancelled. School meal plan? Revoked. Private flute lessons? Frozen. That online clothing box she got monthly? Shut down mid-cycle. They could send her an apology email. It was like disassembling a machine I had built blindfolded, piece by piece. Every switch I hit pulled me a little farther away from the version of myself who thought love meant paying first and asking questions later. Amanda called around midnight. I didn't answer. Her voicemail came through a minute later. She was trying to sound calm, but her voice wavered. We need to talk. This is a bit much, don't you think? Layla doesn't understand what's happening. I bet she didn't. Kids don't understand where the comfort comes from, only when it stops. They don't think about the man at the other end of the receipt. They think comfort is the default. They never question the hand feeding them until it closes. I didn't listen to the rest of the voicemail. I deleted it. By morning, the engine of their little world was sputtering. I woke to 8 missed calls. Amanda, then Layla, then Amanda again. Layla finally left a message. Her voice sharp, fast, like always. Why did you cancel everything? No, hello. No, are you okay? Just why did you cancel everything? I played the message 3 times. Each time the same tone. Not confused. Not even hurt. Just offended. So I called her back. 1 ring. 2. She answered on the 3rd. Hello. I canceled it, I said calmly. Because I'm nobody to you. You made that clear last night. She went silent for a second. Then, that's petty. Petty. That word rattled around in my skull like loose glass. Petty is sitting through 4 years of performances and never being invited backstage. Petty is remembering her favorite flower and watching it wilt on an empty passenger seat. Petty is getting called sir in your own home because dad belongs to a man who vanished 7 birthdays ago. But I didn't say any of that. I just let the silence hang there. Because that's what she couldn't stand, silence. Petty is looking through the man who paid for your life like he's glass. Petty is knowing you can get away with it because your mom will cover for you. Petty is treating the one person who shows up like he's some permanent backdrop. But now Amanda couldn't cover for her. Not this time. Because this time the account balances had numbers they could feel. This time the stream had stopped. Layla hung up on me. Amanda tried again an hour later. Called, texted, called again. She's just young. She doesn't know how to show appreciation. You're the adult. Don't tie money to emotions. But what Amanda didn't understand, or wouldn't admit, was that this wasn't about money. It was about value, respect, presence, the unpaid currency of a stepfather's life. You don't tie money to emotions. But emotions, they cost, they drain, they extract. And when you're the only one paying emotionally, financially, spiritually, and no one even sees the invoice, eventually you stop writing checks. You're ruining everything, she texted the next day. But I wasn't the one who ruined it. They did when I stopped being part of the family and became just a wallet. When Amanda let her daughter walk past me like I was a coat rack. When she whispered, "Don't get involved," like I was the problem. I wasn't breaking a bond. I was letting go of something they never valued. The next morning started without light. Clouds smothered the sky like insulation, thick and gray. A silent snowfall had coated the neighborhood in that heavy, muted white that made everything look more peaceful than it really was. I sat at the kitchen table nursing black coffee gone cold. The phone was silent for the first time in 24 hours. But the silence wasn't peace. It was the kind that waits before the collapse. At 8:13 a.m. it rang. Layla. I stared at the name. Amanda must have finally forced her into it, the be the bigger person talk. Or maybe Layla realized the Spotify app wouldn't open, her gym card wouldn't scan, her data plan was capped, and the college portal now required payment to unlock her semester schedule. I answered. I didn't say hello. Her voice came through sharp, armored in sarcasm like it always was when she felt cornered. Why did you cancel everything? I could hear her walking, traffic in the background. Maybe she was on campus. Maybe she was just pacing in the driveway. I didn't match her tone. Because I'm nobody to you, I said evenly. You made that clear last night. Silence. A flicker of hesitation. Then she snapped back. That's petty. Petty. That word again. Like standing up for yourself was childish. Like boundaries were tantrums. You didn't even try to talk to me, she continued. You just, what? Flipped a switch and nuked everything? I took a breath. Because talking never mattered before. You don't listen. You don't even look at me. Another silence. Then she laughed. Short, bitter. God, you're so dramatic. I brought you flowers, Layla. That stopped her. I could hear her breathing now, uneven. I stood there in the aisle. You walked past me like I was nothing. Not a nod. Not a glance. And your mother told me not to get involved. I didn't see you, she said quickly. I didn't know. You saw me. You saw the man who's paid your car insurance, your tuition, your groceries, your flute lessons. You saw me. You just didn't care. She tried to interrupt, but I kept going. You've known for years who pays for what. You ask your mom for things, she asks me. You never say thank you. You never acknowledge what it costs. Because to you, it's background noise. It's oxygen. Silence again. But this time it stretched. No witty reply. No outrage. Just the weight of her realizing how thin the floor beneath her was. I've never tried to be your father, I said finally. But I did try to be there. And you used that. You used me. She hung up. Not with a scream. Not a curse. Just the quiet click of entitlement realizing it had run out of options. That day, Amanda called me 6 times. I answered none of them. She left one voicemail. You're making everything worse. You can't just pull out and expect things to hold together. We need to talk. Please. But it wasn't we who had been holding things together. It was me. And I was done being invisible glue. That night, Amanda came home later than usual. I heard the front door open and close like it had every day for years. The same rhythm, the same sigh as she slipped off her shoes, the same silence that followed when she didn't look for me. But this time, she did. She stepped into the kitchen, eyes red, jacket still on. You're not even going to ask where I've been? I didn't. She leaned against the counter. She cried. Layla, she doesn't understand what you're doing. She thinks you hate her. I don't hate her, I said. I just stopped financing her indifference. Amanda looked like she wanted to scream. Instead, she sat across from me and folded her hands like we were in mediation. This isn't about money. No, I said. It's about value. It's about who matters and who doesn't. She's a teenager. She's 19. That's still young. I shook my head. Old enough to know who fills her gas tank. Old enough to know who's paid for every class, every late-night Uber, every streaming service she uses to ignore me in my own home. Amanda looked away. Her silence wasn't defensive. It was hollow. She's always been closer to her father, she whispered. I laughed once. A dry, bitter exhale. The man who sends her a birthday meme once a year? The man who still owes you 3 months of child support from 2016? He's still her father. And I was what? I asked. The maintenance man? Her face stiffened. Don't twist this. I'm not twisting anything. I'm just finally seeing it. Amanda stood abruptly, walked to the sink, ran water she didn't need. She's scared, she said. So am I. She turned then, really looked at me, for the first time in months, maybe years. You're really serious about this? I nodded. She's going to lose her housing if that tuition isn't paid. She could get dropped from enrollment. You know that, right? Then she can call her real father. Amanda scoffed. He doesn't have the money. Then maybe she shouldn't have spat in the face of the man who did. Amanda didn't argue. She didn't because she couldn't. She walked out. 3 days passed without another word from Layla. The house went still, as if it was holding its breath. Amanda floated around like a ghost, cooking less, speaking less, barely even making eye contact. It wasn't just guilt. It was exposure. She finally saw the fractures I'd been watching form for years. On the 4th morning, I heard the garage door open and close. Heavy footsteps. Then a knock at the front door. It was Layla. She didn't use her key. Didn't barge in. Just knocked. Like she wasn't sure she still belonged here. When I opened the door, I saw it. Her pride was fractured. Her hair was in a loose bun. Sweatshirt wrinkled. Eyes rimmed red. She didn't speak right away. Just stared past me into the living room like she'd forgotten the furniture. Then, I need to talk. I stepped aside. She walked in like the air was different inside. Like maybe it was heavier. Amanda wasn't home. Maybe that was planned. Maybe Layla knew she wouldn't have the buffer this time. We sat in the same room we'd opened Christmas presents in 3 weeks ago. The same couch she sprawled across when she pretended not to hear me ask her to put her dishes in the sink. I can't register for next semester, she said quietly. I nodded. They said I have 3 more days before they drop me. I said nothing. I talked to Dad, she added. He said he can't help. He said I should talk to you. Of course he did. Of course the man who vanished on birthdays and skipped holidays passed the torch the second it got hot. It was always easy to be a father when there were no bills attached. Layla stared at me, really stared, like she was seeing me through new glass, or maybe just seeing me at all. I'm sorry, she said. The words hung in the air like wet clothes. For what? I asked. She hesitated. For everything. For what I said. What I didn't say. For walking past you. You didn't just walk past me, I said. You erased me. With silence. With absence. And your mother helped you do it. I know. And now that the money's gone, I suddenly matter again. She flinched. It's not like that. It is, I said. I didn't know how to treat you, she said finally. You're not my dad, but you've been. There. There, I echoed. I wasn't a chair, Layla. I was a man. One who showed up. She wiped her eyes, but I didn't reach for her. I'm not asking for everything back, she said. Just help me stay in school. Please. I'm not angry, I said. But I'm not your rescue plan either. She looked confused. You need to understand something, I said slowly. Every dollar I gave was a choice, not a duty. I made those choices believing I was building something. But I wasn't. I was just filling in. Layla looked at her hands. You're right, she whispered, and for once it sounded like the truth. I'll figure it out, she said. I'll find a way. I nodded. She stood slowly, as if expecting something. A hug, a softening, a flicker of the man who used to carry everything in silence. But I stayed seated. At the door, she turned. Her voice was small. You don't hate me, do you? No, I said. I just finally believe you. She left. And that night, Amanda didn't ask what we talked about. Maybe she already knew. I waited until the following Monday. 3 days passed. No more texts from Amanda. No calls from Layla. Not even the usual calendar ping about the utility bills. It was like the whole house had paused. Not out of peace, but avoidance. The kind that rots under the floorboards until it cracks. So that Monday I pulled the rest of the cash. Closed the joint credit card. Canceled the backup savings account where I'd been quietly setting money aside in Amanda's name. Emergency funds she never asked for, never noticed, never thanked me for. Just assumed were there because they always had been. I left her the house. Not because I was generous. Not because I thought she'd manage. But because I wanted nothing that still echoed with that kind of contempt. Every room in that place hummed with old silences. The living room knew the sound of Layla's footsteps walking past me. The kitchen had learned Amanda's size. The kind that followed every time I tried to draw a line and she erased it. I drove to Wisconsin. Didn't tell anyone. A motel near Lake Winnebago. Cheap, quiet, faded. The kind of place where the wallpaper curls at the corners and the heater never shuts up. I paid for 2 weeks in advance and told the front desk not to bother me. They didn't. Each morning I sat on a rusting bench near the shoreline, steam rising from a chipped mug of motel coffee. The lake stretching out like a giant mirror no one dared look into. It was all frozen now, hard and flat, like me. No one called. No one asked where I went. And for the first time in what felt like years, I didn't check my phone out of obligation. I didn't refresh the bank app. I didn't count the days until the next tuition cycle. I didn't worry if Layla had enough gas money. I didn't rehearse apologies I never owed. I just sat. The first few days, that silence felt foreign, like something was missing. I kept expecting a buzz, a ping, a crisis. But none came. Turned out I was more replaceable than I thought. Turns out the machine runs just fine without the man who built it, at least until it breaks. And if it had broken? If Amanda was scraping together rent? If Layla had been dropped from school? If the lights were out? The fridge empty? The mailbox full of overdue notices? I didn't know. And I didn't ask. Because for once I wasn't needed. And that was its own kind of peace. Not the kind they put in movies, not smiling on a beach peace. This was colder. Sharper. But honest. Real peace doesn't sing. It stops. On the 5th morning, I watched a man and his daughter ice fishing on the lake. She was maybe 6. Too young to sit still, bouncing on a little red stool, her boots tapping out some rhythm only she could hear. He handed her the pole gently, smiled like it was all new to him too. They caught nothing while I watched. Not even a nibble. But he stayed there with her for hours, their shadows long and quiet against the frozen water. That's what I wanted once. Not the fish, the connection, the ease, the respect that comes from just being there. Not because you're paying for something, not because you're convenient, but because you're seen. Amanda never saw me. Layla only saw what I gave. And in the end, I think they both thought love was just presence, as if being under the same roof counted for something. But presence without respect is a cage. A man can die standing next to people who say they love him, if none of them see him. I remember the first time I thought Amanda and I could be a family. It was the night her ex missed Layla's 8th grade graduation. The seat beside Amanda stayed empty. Layla kept checking the doors. Amanda looked like she wanted to dissolve. Afterward, in the car, Amanda had whispered, "Thank you for being there." That was the first and last time she said it. I fed off that sentence for years. Let it justify the cold shoulders, the forgotten birthdays, the whispering behind my back. Every insult felt smaller when I replayed that one line. Thank you for being there. I wonder now if she even remembered saying it. Back then, it felt like a promise. Now, it feels like a lie. I left Wisconsin after 2 weeks. Drove south through the flat stretches of Indiana into Illinois, past farms that looked like they were holding their breath under the snow. I didn't go back home. That word doesn't fit anymore. I just kept driving until the road didn't feel like escape anymore, just direction. Amanda texted once, 10 days after I left. We should talk. That was all. No apology. No explanation. I didn't reply. Layla didn't text at all. Maybe pride stopped her. Maybe it wasn't pride. Maybe it was still that same quiet conviction that I wasn't really part of her story. That everything I did was just extra. Optional. Disposable. Let it be. A week after that, a letter arrived at my P.O. box in Wisconsin. I'd set it up just in case. Some part of me still trained to be reachable. It was from the university. Not a bill. A notice. Layla had withdrawn. No explanation listed. Just a date. 1 week after I shut the payments off. No one told me. Not Amanda. Not Layla. They'd kept it quiet. Maybe they were embarrassed. Maybe they wanted me to feel guilty. Maybe they thought I'd come back if the damage was bad enough. But they didn't understand me at all. I didn't leave because I wanted to punish anyone. I left because I was already gone. They just never noticed. I wonder sometimes what the house looks like now. Is the porch light still broken? I used to fix it every fall, rewiring the socket with cheap tools from the garage, cursing under my breath while Amanda watched from the window with a glass of wine. Does Layla still use the downstairs bathroom mirror? The one I replaced after her old one cracked and she cried for 2 hours because she couldn't take selfies for a week? Do they sit at the same table? The one where I used to serve breakfast while Layla stared at her phone and Amanda read emails and no one asked me how my day looked? Probably all of it. But without me. And here's the thing they'll never admit. It hurts. The difference. The absence. Not because they loved me, but because I was useful. They missed the man who paid. The man who showed up. The man who fixed what they broke and never asked for anything back except acknowledgement. But love without respect is a leash. And eventually the dog walks away. It's been 2 months. I live in a small rental now. 1 bedroom, 2nd floor. The windows creak in the wind and the radiator sings when you turn it too high. But it's mine. Keep it clean. I cook for myself. No one tells me to pick up the milk or fix the door hinge. No one walks past me like I'm glass. Some nights I sit in the dark and wonder what they're doing. Then I shake it off. I'm not angry anymore, just clear. There's a kind of dignity in being forgotten, when you finally accept that your worth was never seen, only spent. So now I'll ask you, anyone who's still listening, was I wrong? Was I cruel to let them learn what I already knew? Was I supposed to keep paying for their silence? Keep showing up when my presence was never invited? Would you have endured it longer? Would you have stayed at that recital? Held out your arms even when they walked right past? Or would you have done what I did? Walked away before the silence became your name? Tell me, was I wrong?